Wherapy. Therapy wherever, whenever.
Hello, my name is Philip Anderson. I'm a psychotherapist and the founder of Wherapy. Therapy whenever, wherever. Today, you're going to take a depression test. Before that, I'm going to teach you real quick about what a depression is. Then you're going to take the test, and then I'm going to show you the appropriate treatment method based on your test results. So, without further ado, let's begin. A depression is essentially split into three categories of symptoms. The first category is the affective symptoms. They consist of two symptoms, melancholy or something called anhedonia. And anhedonia is an inability to feel pleasure or a lack of interest in activities that you previously found interesting. In some people, melancholy can show as irritability. So in order for you to have a depression, you have to have both of these symptoms consistently throughout a 2-week period. So the majority of a day throughout a 2-week period. You can't have it just 1 hour a day or for a short period during the day and then have it for a short period during the second day and the third day. You have to have it consistently throughout the 2-week period. And these are the main symptoms. Without these two symptoms, you're not able to diagnose it as a depression. Then we have the physical symptoms, and they are low energy levels, sluggish movement, a lack of sleep, and a loss of appetite. And then we have the cognitive symptoms, and the cognitive symptoms are poor concentration levels, poor decision-making skills, a lack of self-belief, and a pessimistic outlook. And in order for a depression to properly be diagnosed, you have to have 5 of the physical symptoms and the cognitive symptoms combined. So just to recap that, you have to have both the affective symptoms, the melancholy or irritability in some people's cases, and the anhedonia. And then you have to have 5 of the physical or cognitive symptoms. And the physical symptoms, again, are low energy levels, sluggish movement, bad sleep, loss of appetite, and the cognitive symptoms are a lack of concentration, bad decision making, low self-belief, and pessimism. And the physical and cognitive symptoms have to also be consistent throughout the day during at least 2 weeks for a depression to be properly diagnosed. So now that you know what depression looks like, it's time to take the test. Simply pause this video, go to the description and click on the link provided there. Take that test and then you'll receive the results in your email. Remember the results that you get, because in the next section of the video, I'll teach you about the appropriate treatment methods based on results. So, welcome back. Now you've taken the test and you should have received the test result in your email. And there you should be able to tell whether you're suffering from a mild, moderate, or severe depression. Now, these are traditional depression types. If your depression lasts longer than 8 months, then you're probably suffering from a chronic depression, which has no causation and is more a reflection of your mental state. A traditional depression lasts for a maximum of 8 months, a minimum of 2 weeks. Now, you can have recurring depressions with a pause in between. These recurring depressions will probably have different causations. But in general, if you have suffered from depression longer than 8 months, then it's a chronic depression. But back to the test results. So if you score between 13 to 19 points, then you're suffering from a mild depression. And mild depression is something that you can treat on your own. The key to doing it is to reverse engineer the depression. The first few elements that are typical, or first few aspects of your daily life, which typically are affected by depression and get worse during a depression, are the routines, your food, your sleep, your exercising, and your relationships. By simply reverse engineering it and working on these aspects of your life, you can get a boost and get out of your depression quite quickly. So establishing good routines. Routines are obviously connected to sleep patterns. A lot of people who suffer from depression end up sleeping during the day. They're awake at night because they can't fall asleep at night. They don't get the sunlight that they need. The sunlight creates dopamine in the brain. So going out there, exercising during the day is a good way to get that dopamine boost that you need. Also eating healthy food, food with natural fats such as avocado, cheese, some types of nuts, salmon. That can also help you get that boost of dopamine that you really need. And establishing routines in order to keep you from sleeping at the wrong time and in order to keep your life on track, basically. And another good or really important aspect are relationships. Several studies show that even in a therapeutic scenario, the most important part is the relationship. It's not the method that the therapist is using or the experience of the therapist. It's actually the relationship between the therapist and the patient. And the same goes for your private relationships, your relationship with your loved ones or friends. Maintaining these will help you to kind of reverse engineer that depression. People have a tendency to isolate themselves because they feel like um, they're not the best reflection of themselves during a depression, but that has a snowball effect, which leads into further isolation, which leads into a stronger depression. So working on these aspects will get you out of a depression quite quickly if you're in the mild category. If you're on the higher end of that category, you might want to look into some sort of self-help. We've got a service called Wherapy Plus, which is a subscription service with loads of mental health courses, live seminars, guided meditations, sleep stories, um, journaling software, anything that you could possibly need, and with all these aspects as well, such as sleep schedule, and everything is on there. So go over to Wherapy Plus, www.wherapy.com/Wherapy Plus to check that out. Also, incidentally, with these reverse engineering, the routines, food, sleep, exercise, relationships, I'm going to be sending you an email called the DIY Depression Treatment Plan for you to as a kind of aid for you to help working on those aspects. If you're in mild depression, that will be quite good for you, I think. Another thing is cognitive behavioral therapy. The reason why I put it into the mild depression category is that a CBT treats symptoms, not the cause of the depression, and you're going to have to be in a quite good mental state, therefore mild depression, in order for you to kind of learn what the cognitive behavioral therapist is teaching you, and in order to apply it in your daily life. CBT is something that it craves a lot of the patients, so you have to kind of be in a reasonably good mental state. The next category is the moderate depression, and if you score between 20 and 34 points, you fall into this category. If you're on the lower end of the scale, the mental health courses provided on Wherapy Plus would suit you quite well. CBT would also probably suit you quite well still. And obviously the routines and everything in the DIY depression treatment program will obviously aid you in this, but they're probably not going to be able to heal you completely from your depression. What is going to heal you, however, is contact with a psychodynamic therapist, and this could be on a short-term basis. Psychodynamic therapy looks at inner conflict created by competing urges, or an urge that you have competing against reality, or an urge that you have competing against the culture in your homeland, or the society that you live in. a psychodynamic therapy is there you're kind of analyzing your past and you're comparing it to the present, and the therapist is kind of trying to get you to experience what we call an aha moment. And by repeatedly analyzing the past and comparing it to how it affects you in the present and looking at this inner conflict, at some point we expect it to click and expect you to reach an aha moment, and there your depression will be healed. And the depression will heal surprisingly quickly, but the process before that might take some time. And the third and final category is the severe depression. This is for you who have scored above 34 points. And on the low end of that scale, the best treatment method is long-term psychodynamic therapy with the same psychotherapist. We offer therapy on Wherapy.com, therapy sessions with me. You can just book it on the website. It costs $70 and can be conducted at a time of your choosing. We're exclusively online. Yeah. Psychodynamic therapy with the same therapist. A lot of people go to therapy for years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And the reason why long-term psychodynamic therapy is so good for this is that a lot of people suffering from severe depression have the reason behind their depression is ruptures in the relationship with their caregivers, with their parents when they were children. And these ruptures might have occurred over several incidences throughout their childhood. Yeah, it might not be one particular incident, it might be several. And as we're looking at them, as we're analyzing the reason and we're comparing it to how it affects you in the present, we're also replacing that ruptured relationship with a relationship to a new caregiver, your therapist. Yeah, and this is why it takes time. This is why we say long-term psychodynamic therapy is the best, because we're not looking at it as a process. We're not going to be able to build a relationship over 10 hours in 10 weeks or 20 weeks. We have to build that relationship over years and years and years. Even if we have like brief pauses in the treatment, having mostly continual treatment throughout that period is essential in order to build that relationship. And there, we're not looking really for the aha moment. We're actually looking for that relationship, and the healing will go at a lot slower pace. What am I saying? Sorry, a lot slower pace. But at the end of the day, it will be a permanent healing. It won't be. It won't be something that in cognitive behavioral therapy treat the symptom and the symptom comes back because there's a different cause. Yeah, in this case, we're treating it permanently. And a lot of people who have severe depression have chronic depression, so the treatment goes hand in hand. It's a long-term treatment for a long-term depression. And for those who are on the higher end of that scale, they're not functioning at all, medication could be useful. Obviously, consult a doctor. There's sertraline. There are many different types of medication that you could use, but this is only thought of as kind of a kickstart. So you take the medication for a certain period of time, and that gets you down a little bit on the scale, and then you can get treatment by a therapist. You shouldn't be on medication for the long term, but I'm not a doctor, so I can't answer the specifics of medication in this case. If you're suffering from a very severe depression, you're on the high end of that scale, I would recommend you go to a doctor and talk to them about it. So this has been a video where you've learned a little bit about depression. You've also taken a test, and you learn the different treatment methods. Please consider subscribing to this channel and also give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you have any questions, write it in the comments below. I make loads of videos explaining how depression works and different treatment methods and tips to get over depression. And as I mentioned, if you want a session with me, just go over to www.wherapy.com and book a session with yours truly. And if you're on the lower end of the scale, you're either on mild and moderate depression, please consider subscribing to Wherapy Plus. There you also get a members only 15% discount on the therapy sessions. You obviously have the live seminars, you have the guided meditations, you also have yoga videos there, you have journaling programs, you have various self-help programs where you can write your future self emails, you can write a diary, you can also answer questions written by therapists there. And then you also have the featured courses, which are based on several different aspects, such as low energy levels, relationships, and inner conflict. And it takes a few weeks to complete them. You get homework, there's loads of videos there. They're a great tool, and the live seminars are based on those featured courses. So if you have any questions, you can always book a live seminar, which is free. Group therapy also, by the way, is free with your membership. You can just book it and you can have a live seminar with the person who created the course. So Wherapy Plus is a great program for those of you who are suffering from depression. Also, $1 goes to charity. So go over to wherapy.com/wherapy plus and read more about it. And if you're interested, just sign up. It's first 2 weeks are free, then $14 a month. Thank you very much and have a great day.